Top stories tonight. 17 dead, scores trapped as rescue efforts continue in Plateau school building collapse. President Bola Tinubu appoints new MD, board chairman for Nigerian Ports Authority. Federal High Court grants bail to ex-power minister Saleh Mamman. Kenya's police chief resigns after public criticism. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage tonight begins on a rather sad note. Over 200 students from Sense Academy were trapped when a two-story building collapsed during their final term examination. Eyewitnesses reported that the first responders on the scene were officers and personnel from Sector 1 Command of Operation Safe Haven. They arrived with 5 operational vehicles to commence the evacuation process. News Center's Chizoba Anionwe was there and filed in this report.
It was a tragic Friday for students, parents, and guardians of Sense Academy. As students sat for their final term examination, tragedy struck with the sudden collapse of one of the school buildings. The incident sparked widespread anxiety, tension, and panic among residents of Plateau. Regardless of religious and socio-cultural differences, people rallied together to offer assistance in any way possible. Security and humanitarian agencies worked in unison to ensure all trapped victims were safely evacuated. The cause of the building collapse and the exact casualty figures remain unclear. However, government officials and representatives from various agencies present at the scene have provided initial statements to journalists.
As you can see behind me, rescue operation is ongoing. Evacuation of those trapped and others several dead bodies, which we have not ascertained the number for now. They are moving to the designated hospitals, and search and rescue operation is ongoing with other critical stakeholders in a coordinated manner.
The moment I was alerted, I ran. So I came. Let me even see what exactly happened. But you know, of course, at that particular time, the momentum was not even there. So I was shattered and battered from every side. So I wasn't not just myself.
We've ordered all our hospitals to take this emergency matter seriously. As they step in, there shouldn't be need for any documentation or any need for people to ask for money or anything, because it's an emergency situation. So the Commissioner of Health, in collaboration with the SGS and of course with the Governor's consent, has ordered that all our major hospitals in Jos Metropolis should attend to these numbers. We are not going to take this with levity. We are calling on other schools that didn't follow plans, that have similar issues, to close down in the interest of our state, in the interest of our people.
Mr. Chinedu Obonwa was among the first responders who deployed his company's heavy-duty equipment to help in evacuation.
My mission is to save a life. I don't have any plan of thinking what I will get in return, because this is a life-saving. It can be me, it can be you. What happened here can be my siblings. I don't know who that trapped down. At the end of the day, somebody can call you. That is my nephew, my cousin, my niece, things like that. So I'm not having anything in mind of what to get at the end of the day. My mission is that we should save life.
Now, as you can see behind me here, evacuation processes are still ongoing with the heavy equipment on the ground, all to ensure that no student, no teacher is left under the rubble. While these processes continue, details will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletins. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anionwe.
Thank you very much, Chizoba. Quite a sad, sad day in Plateau. Young people dead. To take a look at what the update is and those who survived, what the government is doing, we're joined now by Musa Ashims, Commissioner for Information, Plateau State. Thank you for giving us your time. Quickly, just talk to us about what the update is. Well, here figures are flying around. Are there official figures from the government as to the number of dead, those that are being treated and evacuated?
Thank you for having me this evening. It was a sad situation, and especially that it was a learning environment where you have youngsters and their teachers trapped under a collapsed building. When we got to the venue, we realized that people were still being evacuated, and at the end of the day, around 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., we realized that we've had 154 persons involved, and we recorded 22 deaths. The major hospitals taking care of these victims or people that were trapped under the rubble are the Our Lady of Apostle Hospital, Ola Hospital in Jos, the Bingham University Teaching Hospital, the Plateau State Specialist Hospital in Jos, and of course the Jos University Teaching Hospital. As a government, we have asked that treatment should be free, and we even called on doctors and nurses and medical personnel that are on break to join those that are on duty to save lives. And we also called for people to go to the hospitals and donate blood because it was a shattered situation. We had a situation where you find people from the same family trapped under the rubble. Glory to God, we didn't have the National Examination Council exams holding on today. If not, the casualty figure would have been more than this. But as a government, it is a sad scenario. We will not want this to happen again in our city, in our state, and elsewhere in Nigeria. We are saddened by this situation, and we've called on all the hospitals to give them urgent and free treatment because this is an emergency situation.
All right. There have been reports that there were inadequate rescue efforts and delays in evacuating trapped students and teachers. Can you clarify that? Was that the scenario? Could more lives have been saved?
If you were at the scene where Chizi was, you realize that non-state actors even presented their equipment so that this saving event will be proactive. You realize that the Red Cross were on ground, the army, the police, road safety, fire service, civil defense, neighborhood watch, kind-spirited individuals. A lot of people stepped in. That is why I think the casualty figure is not even more than this. So the response time, I cannot say that it wasn't prompt. I cannot say that it wasn't apt. You will recall that Chizi told you even the military were there. The Commissioner of Police, Plateau State, with his team were on ground. The Brigade Commander, Safe Haven, the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, Fire Service, State Emergency Management Agency, National Emergency Management Agency, and even non-governmental organizations all stepped in. It was a Plateau tragedy, so a lot of people stepped out. That's why we were able to evacuate these people to the hospitals. While they were evacuated, you realize that different vehicles carrying different names of associations and organizations were conveying them to these hospitals. And we made sure that even doctors, nurses, and other medical personnel that were on leave had to return back for this emergency. So I don't think that it is because there was no prompt response. For me, I think the structure was not well built, and it's quite unfortunate that we had to pass through this. Well,
I'm going to interject and take you up on that quickly, because I asked my colleague Chizoba earlier if there is information as to the integrity of this building before these children were allowed in. So I'm going to ask you that same question. Will there be punishment? You talked about efforts to avoid such a scenario in the future. I know these are early days, but what would be tentative actions that the government will be taking to ensure that we don't have this ever again, not only in Plateau State, but across the country?
It is good that people adhere to building codes and ethics. We do not have the Nigerian Institution of Builders, the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Nigerian Institute of Architects, and we have these courses in the university for nothing. It is because we need to safeguard the lives of our people. We need to have beautiful buildings. We need to have buildings that will not kill our people. And it's quite disheartening that on the plateau, we've just started executing the Executive Order 003, which looks at the plans for our buildings, which looks at vehicular traffic, and of course, stray animals. So it's quite disheartening that people will just build structures without plans. In as much as we've discovered that the said school was built in the year 2009, but the place is waterlogged. There's a need for people when they want to build to go to the constituted authorities so that they will be advised appropriately. Here on the plateau, we have empowered the Jos Metropolitan Development Board, which we popularly call JMDB here, to carry out that specific and unique assignment, and they've been up and doing. So people were listening what we were doing with political.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for speaking with us. That's the much time will permit us. I would have loved to ask you more questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. God bless Plateau State.
Away from that sad story, let's now tell you that President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of a new managing director and board chairman for the Nigerian Ports Authority. This is contained in a statement issued on Friday by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale. Tinubu appointed Dr Abubakar Dantsoho as the managing director of the NPA, while Senator Adeyeye was appointed the board chairman. Dantsoho holds a doctorate in maritime technology from Liverpool John Moores University, United Kingdom, and a master's degree in international transport from Cardiff University, also in the UK. Senator Adeyeye, the board chairman, is a seasoned lawyer, journalist, and a former Minister of State for Works and former senator representing Ekiti South Senatorial District. In the meantime, the presidency has inaugurated the Presidential Food Systems Coordination Unit, saddled with the responsibility of finding a solution to the food security crisis and the rising cost of food items in the country. The unit, which will be chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima, comprises some state governors, representatives of local governments, development partners, and other critical stakeholders. The group is to coordinate all agricultural activities in Nigeria. Inaugurating the unit at the behest of President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja on Friday, Shettima said Nigeria is facing a rare food security crisis that urgently requires the ideas and resources of stakeholders. Some of the state governors at the meeting applauded the initiative, which they described as apt in addressing the current situation in the country. A group under the aegis of Active Citizens of Nigeria has called on the Inspector General of Police to end the harassment and intimidation of citizens who are protesting against bad governance. The group, during a peaceful march at the force headquarters in Abuja, says that the current economic situation in the country has plunged citizens into hunger, hence necessitating the various demonstrations being witnessed across the country. They also expressed displeasure over the unlawful arrests of journalists who were speaking truth to power and performing their legitimate duties.
The role of the Nigerian police force should be to provide security and ensure order during such peaceful protests. Yes! Not to suppress the voices of the citizens through unjust arrests. Dear IGP, whilst we acknowledge the release of Mr. James Michael, we condemn in totality the arrest and urge the Nigerian police force to respect and uphold the constitutional rights of every Nigerian citizen. Yes! The increasing hunger and suffering in the country have compelled many to express their frustration publicly. and it is their right to do so.
Yes.
You cannot beat a child and expect him not to cry.
No.
The people of Nigeria are crying out for help, and their voices must be heard. Suppressing these voices through arrest and intimidation will only deepen the existing frustration and hardship faced by many.
Yes.
We respectfully request for a meeting with you to discuss these concerns and ensure that the Nigerian police force aligns its actions with the constitutional duties it is sworn to.
Let's now tell you that a federal high court in Abuja granted bail to former power minister Saleh Mamman for 10 billion naira. Justice James Omotosho ruled that Mamman must provide two sureties, each owning property worth 750 million naira within the court's jurisdiction. Alternatively, he can present a bank guarantee or bond for the amount. The sureties must show 3 years of tax payments, and Mamman must surrender his travel passport. Until these conditions are met, Mamman will remain in Kuje prison. He is charged with laundering 33.8 billion naira. He was arraigned on Thursday. The 12-count charge by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission includes accusations of acquiring property with looted funds through proxies. His trial starts on September 25. It is the lack of integrity that manifests in corrupt activities by individuals. Executive Chairman of the EFCC, Ola Olukoyede, stated this during the Lagos Leadership Conference on Friday. The conference sought to reduce the integrity deficit in Nigeria and bring closer good governance to the masses. The EFCC chairman urged those in authority to lead not by words but by manifesting integrity in their actions.
Talking about integrity is not really standing here to read or to preach. We do this every time. It's a matter of demonstrating what you stand for. That's integrity. We can talk about all the principles. I have my paper prepared, but I think it's important to share a few things with you. The major problems or the great albatross we have in our system is what we are talking about now. The issue of integrity. Because if you don't have integrity, there's no way you will not be corrupt. Corruption is a seed of integrity. I mean, it's a seed of lack of integrity. So I ask myself, what am I going to do different from the past 4 chairmen? And the first thing I did, that no other chairman of EFCC has ever done, was to declare my assets.
Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, says the Supreme Court verdict on local government financial autonomy is relieving to governors. He spoke at the State House in Abuja on Friday in the company of his Bauchi and Imo State counterparts. Abdulrazak said the Nigeria Governors Forum would meet on Wednesday to come up with a resolution about the matter. He also said, contrary to speculations, governors have never tampered with local government funds. Let's get a further perspective on the debate around the Supreme Court's ruling on local government. We're joined now by legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, Towo Osaruoja. Towo, thank you very much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much, Felicity, and good evening.
I mean, for something that has been debated for so long, one would expect a whole lot more optimism than the mixed grill of reactions we're getting now. So clarify for us, what are the potential impacts of this judgment granting full financial autonomy to local governments on overall governance structure in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much, Felicity. First of all, we should also know the foundation leading to this particular judgment. People may forget the fact that issues like this came up in 2005 during the time of Obasanjo, which the National Assembly thought it was looking at the abuse process, or the process in which the governors abuse the funds allocated to local government. And they brought out a law then known as the Monitoring of Revenue Allocation to Local Government Act 2005. And this was contested by the Abia State Governor, the Abia State government, Delta State government, and Lagos State government. And the Supreme Court, which the same questions that was put before the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court ruled otherwise, actually disregard that particular act that is contrary to the provision of the law. Now, this one, Buhari also made an attempt through Executive Order 10, and also the Supreme Court knocked it down. So we thank God that the Supreme Court has found it in their wisdom to bring this into light, and which we must give kudos to the Office of the Attorney General, who has taken this process through. To make
All right,
sure
I mean, we're time pressed for this conversation. That's why I was hoping you just keep it as concise as possible.
Okay, sorry. Okay, now, let's look at it now. If you look at the 4th schedule, section 1 of the 4th schedule of the Constitution, you will see the functions of the local government. And by virtue of this particular judgment now, the functions of the local government will not be visible to the eyes of the locals, which government intend to meet their needs. And if you see it carefully, look at one of it is issue of public road, street lights. Do you understand? These are things that are credit to the state government, but ought not to be state government projects, but local government projects. Then you look at other development, you can see recreational centers are issues of local government. But you see, these are projects that the state government has hijacked, and by so doing, abusing the fund to the local government. So governance will be more to the people than the one be executed by the state, because each local government has their specific and peculiar need that can be carried out by the fund allocated to them.
Okay. I asked this question of a friend earlier today, and it sounded naive, but I'd like to get your perspective because I know a lot of Nigerians might also have that. How will the implementation of this autonomy affect the distribution and management of resources at the state and local government levels? And what will the state governors be doing? Because they previously have hijacked some of the work that was meant for local governments.
Well, now, by virtue of this judgment now, the money that is accrued to local government will go straight directly to the local government account, no longer to the state government account. And the state government cannot impose their project on the local government. So then, too, the local government in its own way can come out with their project in line with what is applicable with this particular with their locality or topography, if I may use that particular word. So the next thing we need to look at is, you talk about now, the implementation is straightforward. I see no reason why the governors forum will be meeting to come out with a resolution. This is a law, and this is a pronouncement of the apex court, with the highest court in Nigeria. So we should foresee development. So before, money leave the FAC account to the state government. Then the state government distribute it to the local government. But this is no longer so. It will go, the money for state government will go to state government. The money for local government will go directly to local government from the federation account. So this is one of the implementation process. Unlike before, that all the money for local government goes to the state government, then the state government in their own way distribute or decide to give whatever they want to give. So you could see the difference now.
We'll see what comes up in the coming days, whatever resolution, how that will impact on governance at the local level, if any. Thank you very much, Towo, for the insight.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, time for a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the NNPP rebranding of its logo. Stay with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. 17 dead, scores trapped as rescue efforts continue in Plateau school building collapse. President Bola Tinubu appoints new MD, board chairman for Nigerian Ports Authority. Federal High Court grants bail to ex-Power Minister Saleh Mamman. Kenya's police chief resigns after public criticism. The new Nigeria People's Party has changed its logo following misrepresentation during the 2023 general elections. National leader of the party, while unveiling the new logo, flag, and amended constitution to the public in Abuja, says that mistakes in printing during the 2023 general elections created challenges for the party and its supporters, as the logo was not properly printed on the voting slips like other parties. He said that the misrepresentation tremendously affected the party as it presented difficulties for supporters to identify the logo on the ballot papers.
Happy that we now have new color, which is very conspicuous, which by the end of the day will be very clear on any ballot paper. Unlike what we have seen in the 2023 election, when people went, including my humble self, we could not identify our logo. Now even a blind man with very little assistance will know NNPP now on the ballot paper. So we are very happy. We are very grateful to the leadership of the party for this initiative, and we are equally very grateful to INEC for approving our request.
Over 277 individuals rescued by the Nigerian army during its ongoing counter-terrorism efforts in the northeast have been handed over to the Plateau State government. Deputy Theatre Commander of the Joint Task Force Northeast, Major General Ken Chibu, disclosed that the victims were rescued from the Sambisa forest and the Chad Basin area. News Center's Umaru Kirawa has details.
A breath of freedom has finally reached those who have endured the captivity of Boko Haram terrorists in Sambisa forest. Among the 277 rescued are 128 women and 149 children.
The mandate of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai is to return normalcy and restore socioeconomic activities within the Northeast region. To do this, we have a two-pronged approach. One is the kinetic operations, and the second one is the non-kinetic operations. And as every professional military, we are combining both operations. And what you are witnessing here today is the larger part of the non-kinetic operations.
The survivors of the insurgency are welcomed with open arms by the Borno State government as they begin their journey towards rehabilitation.
We are going to provide them with services like mental health and psychosocial support, family tracing for the unaccompanied and separated children, livelihood program for the women and children, and other related services that we do provide here. So for the unaccompanied, we are very soon now, when we take them to Borno, we are going to foster them to the foster parents which are working together with us and the metro, so that they can take care of them before integrating them back to the community. And once again, I still thank the military for their effort.
The government acknowledged the military's ongoing efforts and detailed the support services that will be provided to the rescued individuals. The people now hope to witness the end of the long-standing insurgency with stability and progress on the horizon. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The Delta State Independent Electoral Commission has barred journalists from observing the distribution of electoral materials at the CBN office in Asaba. These materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive, are being sent to the state's 25 local government areas ahead of the local government elections scheduled for tomorrow, July 13. Despite their accredited media tags, journalists were denied entry to the premises. An official of the commission confirmed that the directive explicitly prohibited media coverage of the material distribution. Heavily armed police and other security agencies were present to ensure the safe transport of these materials to the various local government areas. 10 political parties are contesting the elections, which will be held across 500 political wards and 5,863 polling units in the state. To look at the upcoming elections and preparations ahead, we're joined now by Executive Director, Not Too Young to Lead Initiative, Elvis Akpobi. Elvis, thank you very much for joining us on the news. Let's just go ahead. What measures do you expect the electoral body to take to address potential challenges such as logistic issues, ensuring timely delivery of election materials to remote and difficult to access polling stations?
I believe, I'm confident they will do the right thing. Before now, they already have, they already on the know that that these elections are coming up, and they are used to the terrain in Delta, mostly with logistics and moving to move sensitive materials to their polling unit. But for me, what I'm very, very passionate about is peace before, during, and after the elections, owing to the fact that it's basically young people who are who makes a higher percentage of the voters tomorrow. And but I'm confident that it will have a free, fair, credible election because there is rising tension, and every electoral umpire knows that if you don't do the right thing, people will protest, people will come out, people will call you out, and sometimes it leads to unrest. So I'm confident in this sector that they will do the needful tomorrow.
In terms of voter registration and education, how effective has the electoral body been in ensuring eligible voters are registered and informed about the voting process, including polling locations and times?
Across Delta State, if you drive across Delta State, you still billboards, just like the INEC does, you still billboards, signposts, and the media houses have also, carried out advocacy against votes are not fight, against electoral violence and all that. So I'll give kudos to the electoral umpire because they really sensitize the electorate on what is expected of them and what they want to do. So what I'm concerned is to talk to young people basically on the need to just subscribe to going there to vote and not make themselves vehicles of violence. And for those persons who will be privileged to be elected, I always tell people on every platform I find myself that the people that affect our lives the most are the local governance, which affect the life of the common people. So if you can, have leaders, if you can elect leaders who I think with the pains of the commoners, I think crime rate will reduce because people will be engaged, there will be provision of jobs and other initiatives that we affect the lives of people at the local level. Because most of the problems we are faced with in Nigeria today emanated from the local level.
All right, Elvis, we hope the best for the process tomorrow. Peace, like you want, be experienced during this process. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
The challenges faced by visually impaired students, especially in higher institutions, have long been highlighted. While some institutions have shown improvement, much more still needs to be done. To address these issues, members of the National Association of Visually Impaired Students are making their voices heard, urging others to join in making a difference. In this next report, News Centre's Bernard Kede tells us more from the University of Lagos.
Students in higher institutions who have physical disabilities face numerous challenges that cannot be overemphasized. These challenges range from gaining admission and paying fees to navigating unfriendly terrains and accessing study materials, amongst others. In an effort to address these challenges, the UNILAG chapter of the National Association of Visually Impaired Students has organized this program to make a difference.
Is to sensitize, orientate the general public about the activities that persons with disability, especially people with visual impairment, what they've been doing extraordinarily and how they've been striving in the society, but there is little attention or no recognition. And this is the avenue to inform and ensure that the proper perspective is set outside there.
Because these students are unique, they require special attention in all aspects, particularly in their studies. Therefore, it is essential to provide them with the focused care they need.
The University of Lagos is really doing their best in ensuring that these students are well integrated in the system and they are able to perform like their counterparts. But much still needs to be done in terms of removing all sorts of barriers.
When they go to class, they have materials to read. You know, they're giving materials like their other cited counterparts. Now, the materials they have to read those materials and prepare for tests, assignments, exams, like every other students. They bring those materials to us, and we convert. We scan and convert. It could be into Braille, it could be into audio.
While schools strive to create a conducive learning environment for students with disabilities, there is a pressing need for increased government effort to ensure inclusivity both within education institutions and in the society.
It's important that the states, make deliberate, conscious effort, like the principle I gave about bursary for blind students. If investment can be made in our universities, for instance, my faculty doesn't have a lift, and there are people living with disability who have to be virtually carried to be able to get one step or the other. What will it take for the university to make that available?
It is hoped that sooner than later, visually impaired students in Nigeria will be as well equipped as their peers in developed countries and ready to face whatever challenges the world throws at them. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akide.
Inland water transportation is cost-effective, efficient and eco-friendly, offering an alternative to congested roads and railways, thus promoting economic and social development. However, safety issues remain a concern due to regulatory lapses, poor safety standards, human errors like overloading, non-use of life jackets, overspeeding and weak boats. Environmental awareness is crucial for transitioning to non-fossil fuels and decarbonization, aligning with the International Maritime Organization's efforts to reduce pollution and global warming.
Every mode of transportation needs it now, not only because of, critically because of the environment. We're trying to save our environment. We want to ensure that we have, we still have the earth to live on, of course, as well as for as long as it's going to exist. But most especially as well, for those who are involved is also the thing of driving down costs. And the whole idea of moving from fossil to non-fossil fuels, we're going to see it should significantly drive the operational cost for the operators, and of course, in terms of the payment cost for the actual mode of transportation on the side of the customer.
Find out more about what Lagos State Waterways is doing about safety enforcement on waterways, harnessing its potential, and the plan to key into modernized boat acquisition, get rid of emissions. Watch Maritime Radar on Saturday, 7 p.m. and a repeat on Sunday, 1 p.m. here on News Central. On a short break, the news continues right after. The news continues in East Africa, where Kenya's police chief, Japhet Koome, has resigned following sharp criticism over anti-government protests that left dozens of people dead. The presidency revealed this on Friday, describing it as the latest head to roll in the wake of the demonstrations. On Thursday, Ruto dismissed all cabinet ministers, including the Attorney General, with the exception of the Foreign Minister and Deputy President. But the move appeared to do little to appease young Kenyans, who warned that they would resume street protests unless Ruto himself steps down. Let's go over now to our business desk for today's business stories.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome. In business news,
Kenya's shilling weakened on Friday due to increased demand for dollars from general goods importers, while inflows from non-governmental organizations cushioned it from easing further. This is according to traders. Earlier, commercial banks quoted the Kenyan shilling at 128.75 to 129.75 per dollar, compared with Thursday's closing rate of 128.50 to 129.50. Traders said there was no immediate reaction to President William Ruto dismissing all but one of his ministers on Thursday, yielding to one of the demands from nationwide protests that have created the biggest crisis of his 2-year presidency. Zambia's proposed regulation that could impose 10-year jail terms for using foreign currency in local transactions have raised questions and criticism from local businesses in what could be a crucial test of President Hakainde Hichilema's pro-investment government. Companies argue the new rules would hurt growth and investment while fueling the inflation they are meant to contain. Hichilema, who won power in 2021, campaigned on pro-business reforms and has so far mostly won praise from investors. He has navigated a complex debt restructuring process and is this year having to deal with the fallout of the worst drought in decades. Political pressure has grown, with annual inflation surging to 15.2% and power cuts lasting more than 12 hours daily due to the dry spell's impact on hydropower plants. And finally, in North Africa, Egypt is aiming to establish an asset liquidation committee under the Ministry of Finance with the goal of generating 20 to 25 billion Egyptian pounds annually for the state treasury from divestment proceeds over the coming years, according to the government's new 3-year plan. As previously stated by former Finance Minister Mohamed Mate in press statements, the government had divested state-owned assets worth about $5.6 billion 2 years ago, since launching the initial public offerings program in March 2023. According to a previous ministerial statement, he added that the government is targeting revenues of up to $6.5 billion from the government IPO program by the end of 2024. That's our offering on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Up next, the exports news.
Sports update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In the world of sport, 4 members of the Nigerian wrestling team have been seated by the United World Wrestling for the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. In a groundbreaking move, United World Wrestling has introduced seedings for the top 8 wrestlers in each weight class, based on their performances across significant events leading up to the Paris Olympic Games. Tokyo Olympic silver medalist and 13-time African champion Blessing Burududu is seated 6th in her women's 68 kg class. Reigning African champion Adeyeye Kuroye has been seated 3rd in the women's 57 kg division, while Christiana Ogunsoya and Hannah Ruben have both been seated 8th in the women's 53 kg and 78 kg categories respectively. Debutants Esther Kolawole and Nigeria's sole male wrestler Ashton Mutua were not seeded. The group stage draws for the badminton at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games were held on Friday, July 12 at the Badminton World Federation in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Nigeria's multiple African men's singles champion Anu Oluwapo Okpeyori has been placed in Group N. He will face tough opponents in China's Li Xingfeng, ranked 6th globally, and Switzerland's Tobias Quenzi. Okpeyori, a 2-time African Games champion, made history as the first Nigerian badminton player to qualify for 2 consecutive Olympics after competing at the Tokyo Games in 2021. He will be hoping to progress beyond the group stage. Badminton at the Games is scheduled to take place from July 27 to August 5 at the Porte de la Chapelle Arena in northern Paris. According to the data provided by the organizing committee, over 8.6 million tickets have already been sold for the Olympic Games. This figure surpasses the record of 8.3 million tickets sold for the Atlanta Games, which until now had held the highest number. The organizers predict the ticket sales could surpass 10 million for the Paris event, which will take place from 26 July to 11 August, and 3.4 million for the Paralympic edition, scheduled for the 28th of August to 8 September. The level of demand and capacity of the stadium have influenced the prices, with the most expensive tickets being for the athletics, swimming and basketball events. Other sports such as golf, water polo, rugby sevens or football, prices are set below $100. Finally, in the world of sport, Kano Pillars have named former Sporting Lagos tactician Paul Ofor as their new head coach. Ofor was unveiled at the club secretariat in Kano on Friday. One of the youngest coaches in the MPFL, Ofor had signed a 2-year contract with the 4-time league champions. Former Aimba coach Usman Abdullah was reportedly the leading candidate for the job, but the same Ms. Sugira have now opted for Ofor. Ofor masterminded Sporting Lagos' promotion to the MPFL 2 seasons ago. He was, however, sacked midway through last season due to a poor result, with the team sitting in the mid-table. Sporting Lagos were ultimately relegated, and veteran coach Abdul Maikaba was in charge of Kano Pillars last season but resigned towards the end of the campaign. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaru.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Time now to get the latest in entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
On Entertainment Tonight, Oyo On Your Own, a documentary by Itegboje Daniel, a 500-level medical student of the University of Benin, has been selected to screen at the Durban International Film Festival. This selection could potentially qualify him for an Oscars nomination, as the festival's competition includes categories where winners of Best Documentary and Best Short Films automatically qualify for the Oscars Short and Documentary nominations. Itegboje announced the selection of his film on his official X page, expressing his long-standing passion for filmmaking, which began in his teenage years. Oyo On Your Own is the only Nigerian film competing in the Oscar qualifying shorts category at the festival. The documentary was also sponsored by the French Embassy for a screening in Paris and participated in the Sony Future Filmmakers Award in Los Angeles. Oyo On Your Own follows the lives of young boys growing up on the streets of Benin to adulthood, showcasing their brotherhood and resilience. These boys are locally referred to as the Elema Boys. Itegboje has confirmed that the release date of his documentary will be announced soon. Serena Williams is officially a legend among kids. The 23-time Grand Slam winner will receive the Legend Award of the 2024 Kids' Choice Awards on Saturday, July 13th at UCLA's Pauley Pavilion in Los Angeles, California. The organizers of the awards, Nickelodeon, in a statement about Serena's upcoming honor said, "The Legend Award is given each year to an aspirational, game-changing global superstar whose name is synonymous with greatness. From Wimbledon to Wall Street, Hollywood to the White House, Serena Williams is a respected, beloved, and celebrated powerhouse. Her ascent to greatness on and off the court has inspired generations to reach further, push harder, and never give up on achieving their dreams." Serena's story proves that through hard work and perseverance, everyone can become a legend. The statement continued, naming the mom of two a role model unlike any other. Throughout her decades-long tennis career, Serena has earned titles at all 4 Grand Slam championships, the French Open, the Australian Open, the US Open, and Wimbledon. In 2014, she held all 4 titles simultaneously, a feat nicknamed the Serena Slam. After achieving the Serena Slam, the athlete was named the 2015 Sports Person of the Year by Sports Illustrated. Serena is also an executive producer on the Oscar-winning film King Richard, about her family's life. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And that is all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Updated: 22 dead, scores trapped as rescue efforts continue in Plateau School building collapse. President Bola Tinubu appoints new MD board chairman for the Nigerian Ports Authority. Federal High Court grants bail to ex-power minister Saleh Mamman. Also in the news, Kenya's police chief Japhet Koome resigns after public criticism. Would like to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. You can do that as well by following us on our social media handles at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks as always for watching. Have a good weekend.